Today we will start with module 2. It consists of the association rules, and in this lecture we are going to cover some basic association rules and correlations available, and we will look into them, and we will see some association, how to generate association rules, what are the different approaches and what are the better approach other than that of association rules and all. Okay. So I have divided this total lecture into this three subsection. First we will cover basic concepts and frequent items at mining methods, and lastly we will see that which patterns are interesting, means whatever the patterns we have learned so far, how much effective they are. Okay, we will see it. In today's class we are going to cover the basic concepts and a particular technique in frequent items at mining methods. Okay, only one technique we are going to learn today. Okay, so if you were asked that what is a frequent pattern, it is like it is a pattern that occurs frequently in a data set. Okay. You can understand from the definition itself the occurrence, or rather the frequency of occurrence of a particular pattern or particular set of items or substructures, whatever it is, which is occurring frequently. We will classify them as frequent pattern. Now you would ask that what can be the frequency of occurrence of one particular item to be a frequent, to be eligible to a frequent pattern, right? So that will depend on the situation in which we are working on, that which this much of which is the minimum limit of the occurrence of this data set or this set of items to be classified as a frequent pattern, right? So that will depend on the designing, and that will depend on the situation and who is designing, what is the requirement of the design, all it will depend on that. And this was first proposed by Agarwal and others in their research work, that is frequent item sets and association rule mining. So this is the concept proposed by them for the first time. Okay, now here you can see that from where this idea generate. Say if we are shopping online, right, or say if we are purchasing grocery products online, right, or say daily products online. So now if I'm going to purchase bread, that then if I am the developer of that website, or you say if I am the businessman, so in which cases or for which customers I am going to offer milk with the bread as well, right? So you can see here that what is the frequency of purchasing bread and milk together, that will totally decide that whether we are going to suggest milk as the second product after a customer purchase bread. So for this kind of situation we can use this frequent pattern, right? So the pairing, if we pair bread with milk, that what are the chances of its occurrence? If it is the most of the cases that whenever a customer has purchased bread, he or she has purchased milk for 60% of cases. So if the limit is 60% for our case, so we can offer milk with to the customers whoever is purchasing the bread, right? So the suggestions can be generated with the help of this frequent pattern analysis. So there are other applications as well, that what are the subsequent purchases after buying a PC. Say a customer is purchasing a PC, so of what other products can we offer with the PC? Say we can offer you can say an antivirus, right? We can offer say say we are offering optical mouse, okay, or say we are offering external hard disk. So what are the matches, means what are the products found that a person, whoever is purchasing a PC, he or she can purchase other products. So that will depend on this occurrence of the of the item products, right? So there are various other applications you can see. Now why this is important? So if you have already seen that for those cases it is an important part, which the scenarios which we have just seen in the previous slide. Now here after this development or the invention of this frequent pattern concept, it is very much essential in you can say in most of the fields of the data mining task, right? We will see some association, correlation, causality analysis. In this lecture we are going to stick to this association and correlation only, right? In other in this series of lectures, as this lecture series proceeds, you will see that we can use it for classification, we can use it for cluster analysis and all. Okay, so these are the various areas where this frequency pattern matching is playing an important role. Fine. Now we will see that what is the basic concept of this frequent patterns. Now how we are going to depict, how we are going to implement this particular thing, right? Now say if we consider the universe as a set of items available at the store, then each item has a boolean variable representing the presence or absence of that item, right? Now boolean, if each item can be represented by a boolean variable, say if we are purchasing milk, then chance of purchasing bread is there, so we can assign 1 to the boolean variable 1 for which is representing the bread. Say there is no chance of purchasing chicken with it, so we can put a 0 against the chicken. So in this pattern, if against a milk we can come up with various products and the chances of their occurrence is there, means is true or it is present, we will put 1 to it, and if it is not present we can put 0 to it, right? So in this way, if you can just jot down all the items which we are guessing to occur with a particular item purchased, so we can generate a vector for it. Okay, and that vector is definitely going to consist of the boolean variables which we were thinking of pairing with or matching with the product purchased. Fine. So the boolean vectors can be analyzed for buying patterns that reflect items that are frequently associated or purchased together. So this particular pattern can be represented in the form of association rule. Okay, you can see here a person who is purchasing a computer can purchase antivirus as well. Now here you can see two new concepts, that is support and confidence. So now we are going to see that a person who is purchasing computer is going to purchase antivirus software as well. So what this support and confidence is meaning, what is the meaning of it? Here this support and confidence are two measures of rule interestingness. Now how we are going to generate this interesting pattern, right? So here you can see a support of 2% for rule means that 2% of all the transactions under analysis show that computer and antivirus software are purchased together. So let us say that in my say we are we have taken a report of say one shop who sells this products. Okay, now today or say for the last 1 month there are total for say 1000 transactions. Okay, now out of those 1000 transactions we have taken 100 transactions, right? Now out of this 100 transactions we have seen that 2% of the total transactions that we are analyzing, right? So in that situation, so in that cases antivirus softwares were bought by the same person who bought the computer. So now you will say that 2% is a very less chance of occurrence, but it is not so. So from a huge data set we will pick up some sample, we will pick up a random sample and we are going to test for those only. So if there this 2% of occurrence for that small data set occurs, so it may reflect a big amount in the total data set as well. Okay, Now this, with this 2%, we have from the data that we have analyzed, showing that both computer and antivirus are purchased together. Right now, what a confidence is saying, a confidence of 60% means that 60% of the customers who purchased a computer also bought the software. Okay, so here this is the chance of chance of buying this software, antivirus software, with the computer, right? So we have analyzed the total 2%, that it is showing that computer and antivirus softwares are bought together. So this rule is having a support of 2, and out of this total data set, means the total whatever the purchase have occurred so far, we have seen that there is a 60% chance of buying both computer and software together. Okay, so you can see here actually the chance becomes 60% here. So this is the confidence level, and we have analyzed 2% of, means whatever data we have analyzed, we are generating the rule from the 2% of data, that is we are having a support of 2% from the total data set. And this association rules are considered interesting if they satisfy both a minimum support threshold and a minimum confidence threshold. Now this threshold are going to set up by the domain expert. So as we proceed with this lecture, we will see some examples. There you can see that we are going to fix the minimum support level, we are going to fix a minimum confidence level. Fine. So and then based on that we can generate the association rules, and that will help us in generating the association rule. Okay, so if this minimum limit is being covered by this both this support and confidence, then my rule is going to be interesting, otherwise we will discard that rule. Okay, now see here, here we are having a set, namely I, and it is having this I1, I2, IM. This is an item set. Okay, so item set means you will see that I1 is consisting of some number of items, I2 is consisting of some number of items, and this total set will be treated as capital I. Okay. And here D, the task relevant data, it is a set of database transactions where each transaction T is a non-empty data set such that T is a proper subset of I. Okay, so here we will find another variable called D, and it consists of the database transactions, and each transaction has to be non-empty, and it is going to be a part of this I only. Okay, because ultimately the transaction is going to show us with those data that is relevant to this item set only. Okay, and each transaction will be associated with an identifier, that is TID, and then A be a set of items. Okay, so here for each transaction ID, there will be an ID associated with it, or an identifier associated to it, and we are considering A to be a set of item. And then a transaction is said to contain A if A is a subset of T, right? So here out of the total item set we have considered a very small portion A, and if A be a part of that T, it is going to be a subset of T only. Now an association rule will be like this: A implies B, that means if definitely A is a part of I and B is a part of I, both of them are not phi, but is not empty, and their intersection is not empty at all, right? And then this rule A implies B holds in the transaction set D with support S, where S is the percentage of transaction in D that contain A union B, and this is taken to be the probability, that is chance of occurrence of A union B. So here we have seen that support means what? We have seen that out of the total transactions occurred, we have selected the few of them, and we are considering the support to be what? We are considering the support to be those transactions where my item set is available, right? So here our item set is A and B. So if we can consider the union of occurrence of both A's and B's, then we can find out the transactions which is containing A and B, right? So we have to consider all the transactions where A is present and where B is present. Now, so this there how we are going to find out the support of it. So if we can find out the probability of their occurrence, what is the probability of the occurrence of A union B, we can find the support of it. Okay, and confidence means what? It will be we can generate, or we can find it out from the using conditional probability, that is it has a confidence C in the transaction D, where C is a percentage of transaction in D containing A that also contain B. So you can see that here we are going to find out the chance of occurrence of both, that we will consider those transactions of A where also B is present, right? Why? Because if you remember that example of purchasing antivirus software with computer, we have seen that whenever a person is purchasing PC, what is the chance of purchasing the antivirus software, right? So here a condition is there, so a prior condition, that is if he or she is purchasing a PC, and depending on that what is the chance of purchasing the antivirus software. So that is the confidence, right? And support means what? Again the occurrence of both, where both this means where we are purchasing, what is the probability of purchasing both software and PC, all the all the transactions where these purchases occur, we are going to consider all of them and find out the probability of it. So just for us, we have to remember these two, that how to calculate the support and how to calculate the confidence. Okay, next, that rules that satisfy both minimum support threshold and minimum confidence threshold are called strong. We have seen that, and by convention we write the support and confidence values in percentage rather than since you may have a confusion that since we are finding out the probability, so it will definitely lie between 0 and 1. So but it is the convention to convert them to the percentage. Whatever the probability is coming, we can easily convert them to the percentage, and we are going to write them in percentage. Means whatever the support and confidence is, we are going to write them in percentage only. We have seen one example, we have seen there 2% support and 60% confidence. Okay, so we are going to convert them to that. Okay, and now you can see an item set can be k items set. Here if we consider this set computer and antivirus, it is having 2 items, so it will be called as 2 item set. Now occurrence frequency of an item set is the number of transactions that contain the item set. Okay, and you will see that say there are 100 transactions. Okay, so we will find out that what item set we are looking for us, say computer comma antivirus. So we are going to find out in which transactions my computer comma antivirus this set is available. So we are going to count them, and this is the occurrence of the frequency, right? We will see with the help of an example, and I think the concept will be more clear then. Fine. And you can see here we are coming out with a new formula. See, here we have seen the confidence of A plus B is probability of this B condition A, and you can see here if you express this in this form, that what conditional probability says, it will be like support of A union B by support of A, and here support means that we are going to find out the count of it. Okay, support count means where the other transactions, what are the number of occurrences of all this this A union B, that both computer and antivirus together, we are going to count them. And again, since it is totally based on the purchase of computer, means that purchasing of antivirus is means it is depending on the purchasing of computer. So we are going to find out the count of occurrence of purchasing computer only. Okay, so in this way we can find out the confidence. It is totally based on the conditional probability that we have learned in mathematics. Fine. Now here it is basically this total the problem of mining association. How we are going to mine values with the help of association. It can be done in two steps only, that find all frequent item sets and generate strong association rules from the frequent item set. So we will see how to generate the association rules. Here we are going to find out the frequent item sets. Frequent item sets means I have told you already, we are going to set one minimum minimum value or minimum support count, right? So those who are the item sets which is having a count of more than that minimum value, we are going to keep them and we are going to discard the rest, and from that set we are going to generate the association rule. Now this is a challenge, right, to find out this one for all. If you just try to find out this frequent item set matching from a large data set, so if we have to consider the all the values, then it is a huge, it is going to come out with a huge sub pattern, right? You can see here we are considering one example, a long pattern that say A1 to A100, right? So this is the number of sub patterns possible, because from the out of 100 values, you can say if we just combine means if we consider each pattern at a time, that we are not pairing, we are just considering each item at a time, so it will be total 100 values, so it will be 100 to the power 1. Now if we keep on pairing, okay, why? So A1 is going to get paired with 99 values, A2 is going to get paired with 99 values. So in this fashion you can just generate this series, 100 to the power 1, 100 to the power 2. So we know this series becomes 2 to the power 100 minus 1. So it is generating somewhere approximately 1.27 into 10 to the power 30 patterns, right? So this is the drawback of this frequent occurrence pattern. So we will learn one more technique. It's a very useful technique. So if we try to generate the rules using all the patterns, so this for this large data set, we are going to face this challenge. So before learning how to not before learning, just before just visiting some examples at how to generate association rules, we will learn some patterns, okay, some algorithms using which we can generate it in some lesser amount of time. Okay, here this closed pattern and max patterns, these are some of the theoretical terms used here. So here you can just go through it, whatever we have learned so far, it is going to cover those only. So here one new concept is there, that a proper concept of proper subset, okay, or propers in we know that if X is a proper subset of Y, is the cases where X is contained in Y but there is at least one item of Y that is not contained in X. So this is the definition of the to be a proper subset. So you can see here again the concept of this minimum support value and all others has been discussed, so we have learnt it already. Okay, so here whatever we are learning, we will see one closed and maximal frequent item set concept. Okay, so let us consider that one transaction database is there and it is having two transactions. Okay, one is having 100 item set A1 to A100, another is A1 to A50, and let us consider minimum support count is being set to 1 here. Now say we find two closed frequent item sets and their support counts. Say first one support count is 1, that is the total item set A1 to A100, and for the second it is 2. Now here you can see here, as we are learning the concept of this maximal frequent item set, you can see that one set is ranging from A1 to A100 and another is ranging from A1 to A50. So here A1 to A50 is already contained in A1 to A100 only, right? So this will be treated as the maximal frequent item set, because A1 to A50 has been generated with the help of the first first item set, right? So here this larger item set will be treated as a maximal frequent item set. Fine. Now see that we cannot include this A1 to 50 as a maximal frequent item set because it is a frequent superset. Okay, so all these definitions what we are means learning in the form of examples, it is being explained in the previous slide that we have skipped, and you can match here that whatever we are learning in this slide with in this example with the definition only. Okay, but I'm not going to discuss the definition because I think it is better to explain with the example only. Okay. Now here why we are not selecting this A1 to A50 as the maximal frequent item set, because it is having a superset already, right? A1 to A100 is a superset of A1 to A50, so there is no meaning of treating this as the maximal frequent item set, right? So if we can compare this these two, we can see that there are total of 2 to the power 100 minus 1 frequent item set, and this is the problem, okay, which we were talking of, and it is really a tedious job to enumerate all these sub patterns. Means if we have to generate the frequent item set, we have to find out, means we have to pair each and everyone with everyone and find out which items are going to get covered in the frequent item set. So this is a very larger value is coming. Okay, now the set of closed frequent item set contains complete information regarding frequent item sets, and for example you can say we can derive from it that say A2 comma A45. Okay, we are saying that its support count is 2. Why? Means how we are going to derive it? You can see here A2 comma A45 is a sub item set of the item set from A1 to A50. So you can see that its support count, we have already considered it to be 2, right? So the occurrence of this pair A2 comma A45 will totally depend on this set, that is smaller set A1 to A50. So its count will be 2 only, right? And A8 to A55 will be 1. Why? Because you can see that we can take this pair, that is A8 from A55, only from the larger set, because my smaller set is ranging up to 50 only. So this smaller set will have the count 1 only, because we can consider the maximal set here. Okay, so these are the examples of finding out the maximal frequent item set and closed frequent item set. Though we are not going to going more details into this, but just to learn the basic concepts, we have learned it. Okay, but our main goal is different in this lecture. Okay, now that this number of frequent item sets to be generated is sensitive to the minimum threshold. Okay, and now you can say that we can use this frequent item set mining for a smaller database, or rather we can just make the support level, or we can make threshold a little bit higher, so that most of the values get discarded. But that is always not possible, because if we set up this threshold value to a higher value, there we may lose many chances, right? We may not explore all the possible pairing or all the possible occurrences of each item with the other. So here this is for this larger database or larger data set, it is going to generate an exponential number. So here we will see one mining methods, and with which we can generate the frequent item set more easily. There are total three methods available. Firstly, we are going to learn this a priori algorithm. Okay, then we will see there are some techniques of improving a priori algorithm, and then we will see frequent growth approach. It's a tree like structure, but in this particular lecture we are going to learn a priori algorithm only, and in the next lecture we are going to see some improvements there, and if possible we'll cover the FP growth in the same lecture only. Now you can see here, these are the scalable mining methods. There are mainly three approaches. Okay, one which I was talking of, a priori, other is FP growth, another is vertical data format approach, but in our syllabus we are having only two. One is a priori, another is FP growth. But if you are interested to learn vertical data format approach also, so you may go through the ebook that I have shared with you. Okay, now we are going to visit this background of this a priori and theory of this algorithm in very short. Rather, we are going to stick to example first. This was again proposed by Agarwal only in 1994, and from the name itself you can see that it is based on the fact that algorithm uses prior knowledge of the frequent item set. Okay, and we will see some a priori pawning algorithm or principle is there. How to prun. Okay, if we can prun the data set or number of data items from the total data set available, then my data set is not going to get reduced. So it is nothing, you can, in other words you can say it's a process of selecting which item set we are going to preserve and item set which we are going to discard. So whoever will satisfy my minimum threshold, we are going to keep them and we are going to prun the others. Okay, just see the method in very short. So whenever we are going to come up with an example in the next slide, the concept will be much clear. So we are going to scan my total database once using one item set. That means whatever the transactions, whatever the items are present, we are going to scan the total item set and we can come up with the frequencies of their occurrence. Okay, and generate length k plus 1 candidate items from the length k frequent item sets. So you can, here we will see that firstly we will start the value of k with 1, then we will move to k value of k with 2. So firstly we will scan the data set and we will not make any pair. We will scan each and every item in the total transactions present, then we will start pairing. After pairing we can make the pairs along the pairs. So in this fashion we can move on, and we will discard the item sets which are not fulfilling the minimum chance of occurrence. So let us see the example. You can see here, first the database is having three transaction IDs 10, 20, 30 and 40. First transaction is consisting of the items A, C, D, then second one is B, C, E, and third one is this, and fourth one is this. And we are considering the support, minimum support to be 2. Okay, for our case we are considering 2. You can keep any value of your choice, or rather of whatever the situation is asking us with. Okay, now after the first scan you can see here what are the different item sets available. It is A, B, C, D and E. Okay, so we have not make any pair, we are just scanning each and every item. Okay, now you can see here the number of occurrences of A is 2. How? You can see in TID 10 A is present, and in TID 30 A is present, and nowhere else A is present. So this support of A is 2. Similarly B is 3, C is 3, D 1 and E 3. Now see here, we are going to find out what the frequency of, we are going to tally the frequency of occurrences of each data item, and we have kept the minimum support to be 2. So here, other than D, each and every other data item is fulfilling the criteria. So we will discard D and we will move to the next step. You can see in the next box we have discarded D and we have kept the other 4. Okay, now just see here, we are going to make pairs of every data item with another data item. So what are the pairing possible? A with B, A with C, A with E, B with C, B with E, and C with E, because pairing B with A again means same as of pairing A with B. Okay, so we have got this much. Now we will see the occurrences of these two. How we are going to find out the occurrence of this? So we will find out where both A and B are occurring together in my original database. You can see both A and B are occurring in transaction having the ID 30 only. Nowhere else both A and B are occurring together. Okay, now let us see for A and C. So A and C is occurring in transaction ID 10 and 30. So it is 2. Okay, so counting is 2. Similarly, we can find out the support for other pairs possible available. Fine. Now again you can see here AB and AE cannot fulfill my criteria. So we will discard these two and we'll keep the rest. We have kept the rest. Now here we are again going to match up. Here we have not shown the total process. You can just try it of your own. You can see here the first possible pairing is with the first block with the second block, that is A comma C comma B comma C, and it will come up to A comma B comma C. Now we have to find out where A comma B comma C is occurring together. You can see here both A, B, C and is occurring in transaction ID having 30, but it is only count is 1. Nowhere else total A, B, C are present together. So we have discarded that. Okay. Next possible pair is A comma C comma B comma E. So A, B, C and E. A, B, C and E is occurring in 30 only, nowhere else. So again the count is 1. So we are going to discard it because it cannot fulfill my minimum criteria. Okay, the next is A comma C comma C comma E, that is A, C and E. So A, C and E is again occurring together at transaction number 30 only. So again the count is 1. We are going to discard it. Similarly, you can try for other pairs, that is B comma C comma B comma E, that is B, C and E. Now you can see B, C and E is occurring in TID 20 and TID 30. So the count is 2. Now you can try in this manner for all the other pairs possible, and you will come up with only one possible pairing, that is B comma C comma E, because it is fulfilling the minimum criteria, and others you can discard it. So we can stop here because no other pairings are possible. So this is the way with which we are going to select my total frequency occurring pattern from the total database present. Okay, now you can see that the algorithm pseudocode has been written. Whatever we have learnt in the example, that has been written in the form of pseudocode. It may help you in writing in the examination. Now we will see the property of this one, that is a priori property. Here the property says that all non-empty subsets of a frequent item set must also be frequent. Okay, and what is the this property is based on an observation, that is, if an item set I does not satisfy the minimum support threshold, then I is not frequent. That is, the probability of occurrence of I is definitely going to be lesser than the minimum support. Now if an item A is added to the item set I, then the resulting item set, that is, if we have combined new item set A with I, that is I has been unioned with A, cannot occur more frequently than I. Right, so we have, if we can combine my occurrence of A with the I, and we have seen that the chances of occurring of I cannot satisfy my criteria, that is, the probability of occurrence of I cannot go above the limit. Then if we have added one item A to the item set, means we have successfully added this item to the item set, then definitely my A is such an item set which is not going to occur frequently. So this total set, that is I union A, will always be an item set which is not in the category of frequently occurrence, right? So here again the probability of I union A will never be able to reach this minimum support value. Fine. And this property is called anti-monotonicity, right? That is in the sense that if a set cannot pass a test, all of its supersets will fail the same test as well, definitely. So if a subset of a particular set cannot satisfy a criteria, how its superset is going to satisfy? Definitely we can discard them without testing anymore. Now we will see how a priori property is used in the algorithm, and it is a two-step process. It is joining and pruning. We will see them in a very small example. You can see here we are having one value, or say one candidate generation being denoted in L3. Why L3? Because here we are using three item sets together. One is A, another is B, another is C. Means here in the total maximum length of each item set is 3. That's why we are denoting it with L3. So it is ABC, ABD, ACD, ACE, BCD. These are the item sets available here, and we have seen that the example that we have followed these two patterns only. One is joining, another is pruning. What we have seen there, that if you remember that we were pairing each data set, or we are rather performing Cartesian product of each item set with the another. So here again we are going to perform this self join, that you can try with all the possible joinings, but here we are going to consider two only, that is ABCD and ACDE. Okay, ABCD can be generated from ABC and ABD, right? That is first two, and ACDE can be generated from ACD and ACE. These two are also present. You can try with all the pairs, all the item sets available. Okay, we are considering just two. Now see here, we are keeping ABCD only in C4, that is in the next iteration, but we are discarding ACDE. Why? Because you can see here ADE is not present in L3, right? So you can see that here ABC is present, and all the other choices, right? BCD is present, but here in case of ACDE, ACD is there, but ADE is not present in L3. So we can discard this pattern because this particular value is not present at all in the total item set. Okay. But you have seen it that we have in our example we have used this pruning process where the total item set was not satisfying my minimum criteria, and again if any kind of matching comes where that the total the possible of all the combinations and all the sub sequences are not present in the original item set, we can discard that as well. Okay. Now once we have generated all this frequently occurred item set, we can find out the confidence of, that is the support confidence rule. Now you can see this is the formula which we are going to find out, which we are going to use in finding out this confidence rule. That is here for every non-empty subsets of S of L, the output rule, that is S implements L minus S. This rule is possible. How this rule is possible means for which pair this rule is going to get satisfied, where support of L by support of count will definitely be greater than or equals to the minimum confidence level. Okay, so here to generate one rule saying S can implement L minus S, my support rule, or support confidence rule, or association rule, whatever you say, and it is going to hold if this occurs. Support count of L by support count of S is going to be greater than or equals to this minimum confidence. So let us see an example. We have not worked out with this example. You can try it of your own. We have just taken a snapshot of it. Here it is showing an transactional data of all electronics branch having T100 to T900, and these are the list of items present: I1, I2, I5, I2, I4 and all. And here we are considering the data item. For us it is I1, I2 and I5. Okay, and what are the association rules that can be generated? We are going to learn it. Now here the non-empty subsets of X are, what can be the subsets out of I1, I2 and I5? Firstly, we are finding out that item sets having length 2, that is I1 can be paired with I2, I1 can be paired with I5 and I2 can be paired with I5. No other choices are can be there, and it can have the single item set, that is I1, I2 and I5. Now whether this rule, that is I1 comma I2, generates I5 holes, how to find out the confidence of it? We have to find out the support count of I1 and support count of I2, then we have to divide it, and if it satisfies my minimum criteria, you can see here that it is 2 by 4, so it is 50%. So if minimum threshold is 70%, if we consider it, so we are going to discard it. In this way you can find out the rule, possible rule. You can see here that we have tried the rule of each and every occurrences of item with another item, and these are the confidence level we have calculated using my data, right? So here using my formula what we have seen in the previous slide, so using that formula you can find out the confidence level of all the association rules possible, and those who are satisfying this threshold value we are going to keep them, and those who are not satisfying the possible values we are going to discard them, right? So you can see here using a priori algorithm we can easily find out the frequency of the occurrences of all this, and we can discard them, and again we can come up with this association rules from the total values available. So here if you keep this threshold only having the confidence 70%, so we are going to offer for our calculation you can see there is a 100% confidence for I1 comma I5, and which generates I2. So those who are purchasing both I1 and I5, definitely we are going to provide them this item I2 as a choice, right? So here it is having 100% confidence. So this is a very important technique, or a very easy technique which we can use in mining the data and come up with the decision. In the next class we are going to learn some improvement techniques of this a priori as well, that how we can perform this a priori algorithm in more efficient way, and we will learn FP growth technique as well. Thank you.